Clone Wars were never meant to bear this much weight. From the moment the Republic and the Separatists turned the galaxy into a battlefield, the Force had been strained, bent around fleets, generals, betrayals, and lies. Entire systems burned while senators debated procedure. Jedi preached peace while leading armies bred for obedience. Sith hid behind democracy, feeding on the chaos they engineered. By the third year of the war, the Force no longer flowed smoothly. It shuddered, recoiled, adapted, and then it fractured, not in a single place, but everywhere. The first sign came not as an explosion, but as silence. Across hyperspace lanes, Navy computers stuttered. Astromech droids paused mid-calculation. Jedi in meditation felt their awareness snap outward, as if something vast had inhaled sharply and refused to exhale. Even Palpatine, alone in his office overlooking Coruscant's endless cityscape, felt his careful composure slip for the briefest instant. Something ancient had awakened. Deep beneath Coruscant, far below, even the underlevels where crime syndicates ruled, a forgotten Sith engine, older than the Republic itself, completed a cycle it had been building toward for centuries. Not a weapon, not a super laser, a convergence mechanism designed by Sith alchemists who believed the Force was not the ultimate power, but merely one layer of reality among many. It did not tear open one doorway, it tore open 8. The first arrival, balance on a wind-scoured plateau on a neutral outer rim world. Clone troopers advanced cautiously through rising dust. Their scanners had detected an energy anomaly that didn't match Separatist tech, Republic signatures, or anything in the archives. The air itself seemed unsettled, currents spiraling without pattern. Then the wind stopped. At the center of the plateau, space folded inward, not violently, but deliberately, like a breath drawn too deep. A boy fell from nothingness and hovered instinctively before touching the ground. Aang landed lightly, knees bending as if he had practiced this moment 1,000 times. His blue tattoos glowed faintly, reacting not to danger but to the overwhelming presence surrounding him. He could feel it immediately, an energy field vast beyond comprehension, threading through the planet, the troopers, the sky, even himself. It wasn't the spirit world, but it wasn't unfamiliar either. The clones raised their blasters. "Please," Aang said quickly, palms open, "I don't want to fight." The wind obeyed him anyway, lifting sand into a gentle barrier between him and the soldiers. Not aggressive, not threatening, just enough to say, "Stop." Far away, a Jedi felt it, an echo of calm where fear should have been. The second arrival, freedom. The battle over Coloran Prime had already claimed thousands of lives by the time the sky tore open. Republic gunships strafed Separatist positions while battle droids marched forward without hesitation. Explosions drowned out screams. The war was efficient here, brutal, methodical. Reality split above the battlefield like glass under pressure. The traveler fell hard, rolling through rubble, before springing to their feet, blade already in hand. Their senses screamed warnings. This world was hostile, saturated with violence and unfamiliar energy. They reached inward, calling on elemental power, and felt resistance. Not denial, negotiation. Wind answered first, weaker than expected but responsive. A sweeping gust knocked droids off their feet, buying the traveler time to assess. Blaster bolts deflected, fire met metal. Earth surged where stone still existed beneath the ruins. Clone troopers stared in stunned disbelief. The traveler noticed something else too, eyes upon them. Not physical, something vast and aware, pressing against their abilities as if testing how they worked. This world had rules, and it expected them to learn them. The third arrival, just as Coruscant's underlevels swallowed anomalies without comment. When light Yagami stumbled into a narrow alley beneath flickering holosigns, no alarms sounded. No visions screamed warnings. The city simply absorbed him like it did everything else. Light adjusted his tie, eyes sharp, mind already cataloging details. Alien species, droids, sky traffic so dense it blocked the stars. This was not a dream. His thoughts were too ordered, too controlled. He reached into his coat and felt the death note. Still there, still heavy. Light smiled. Information flowed quickly in a place like Coruscant. Criminals boasted, syndicates whispered names, corruption thrived in layers. Within hours, Light understood something vital. This galaxy worshipped the Force like a god. Then it will kneel to something greater, he thought. When the first name was written, the Force recoiled. A minor crime lord collapsed mid-sentence, clutching his chest. Somewhere above, a Jedi flinched without knowing why. Light Yagami listened to the screams echo through the Undercity and felt no remorse, only confirmation. The fourth and fifth arrivals. Genius divided Imperial intelligence would later argue over which arrival was worse. Felonious Gru materialized inside a separatist research facility in a flash of blue distortion, landing flat on his back amid shattered equipment. Minions spilled out after him in a chaotic wave, immediately pressing buttons they absolutely should not have pressed. Megamind arrived on a Republic shipyard platform above Corellia, standing upright as if he had planned it all along. His eyes widened as he took in the scale. Capital ships under construction, engineers scrambling, technology begging to be improved. Both geniuses felt the same thing. Opportunity. Gru laughed, rising to his feet. Okay, new planet, new rules. We steal everything. Megamind steepled his fingers. Oh, this galaxy has potential. Their rivalry began before either of them knew the other existed. The sixth arrival, Choice Kamen Rider Geats emerged on a deserted moon, landing in a controlled roll as his armor stabilized. His HUD flickered wildly, trying to interpret a universe that didn't fit its parameters. No Jedi, no Sith, just silence. He stood, scanning the horizon. This wasn't his game, but it felt like one. A war structured around rules no one questioned anymore. Gates smiled beneath his helmet. Then he stepped into the galaxy, not as a savior, not as a conqueror, but as a player who refused to follow scripted outcomes. The seventh arrival, Authority Nero Claudius, appeared in the throne room of a fallen planetary capital. Standing amid shattered banners and broken statues, she took in the devastation, the absence of leadership, the fear still lingering in the air. A galaxy without emperors pretending to be gods. How rude, she said lightly, to rule without grace. Within days, systems noticed something strange. Worlds stabilizing without Republic oversight, without separatist control. Loyalty forming around a ruler who did not claim divine right or force destiny. The Jedi did not know what to make of her. The Sith were intrigued. The eighth arrival. True. No one noticed Columbo arrive. He stepped off a public transport platform on Coruscant. Raincoat rumpled, expression mildly confused. He watched clones march past. Senators argue. Jedi glide by with practiced serenity. He scratched his head. Just one more thing, he muttered to no one. Something about this war didn't add up. The galaxy reacts in the Jedi Temple. The Council sat in rare unanimity, uneasy. 8 disturbances, Mace Windu said. Independent, unaligned. Dangerous, Obi-Wan added, not because of their power, but because they don't fit. Yoda closed his eyes. The Force bends around them, changed, it becomes. Across the city, Palpatine smiled slowly. 8 variables, 8 threats, 8 opportunities. The Clone Wars had been engineered to collapse toward a single outcome. Now, the galaxy had become unpredictable, and that terrified the only man who believed himself its master. If you want to see more characters enter the Star Wars galaxy, hit that subscribe button and drop the name of a character you'd want to see in the comments below. May the Force be with you. The galaxy had never been designed to contain all of them at once. One by one, each newcomer began to alter the fragile balance of war, and the Clone Wars, already a maelstrom of politics, betrayal, and fire, screeched to a new chaotic pitch. Aang and the Jedi, fractures of philosophy. On the volcanic world of Mustafar, where the lava rivers seemed alive even in the absence of inhabitants, Aang had found himself facing a small contingent of Jedi, tasked with investigating this new anomaly in the Force. He had tried to remain neutral, attempting only to understand the energy field surrounding him. But the Force responded differently to him than to any Jedi. It hummed, pulsed, and even recoiled as he moved. The Jedi could sense it. They felt their meditative discipline falter under the influence of a being outside their understanding. You are not one of us," Anakin said cautiously, stepping forward, his voice measured but tense. "You have power, yes, but your connection, your understanding of the Force is different." Aang bowed his head. "I seek balance, not war. I have seen conflict destroy worlds before. I do not wish to harm anyone." But the Jedi had a duty, and the galaxy was already burning. "Intentions are not enough," Obi-Wan said. "Your presence alone affects outcomes. You could tip battles before they begin." Aang lifted his staff. Air whirled around him instinctively, lifting molten rock from the rivers below into protective spirals. "Then I will act only when necessary," he said, eyes glowing faintly with the awareness of the Avatar state. The Jedi stepped back, unease growing in every bone. They were dealing not with a student, not with a soldier, but with a force of nature entirely alien to their traditions. Already the war was bending to his influence, the Traveler and the warring factions. Meanwhile, in the Outer Rim system of Ryloth, the Traveler encountered battlefields that defied even their extensive experience with interdimensional threats. Separatist droid armies marched relentlessly toward Twi'lek settlements, while Republic clone battalions set up intricate defenses. Above them, A-wings and vultures streaked in strafing runs, explosions throwing showers of fire into the purple sky. The Traveler did not choose a side, but the galaxy's energy recognized their abilities instantly, pushing them to adapt. The Traveler summoned elemental bursts, not as a weapon but as barriers, redirecting volleys of fire from civilian structures without harming the soldiers themselves. The battle slowed, confusion spreading among both sides. Commanders on both sides watched as inexplicable forces disrupted what should have been straightforward attacks. "Who or what is that?" a Separatist commander hissed, blaster trembling in hand. "It moves like the wind, reacts like the battlefield is alive," the Traveler observed from a ridge, eyes scanning for a pattern. Every use of their abilities drained energy slightly, but the feedback from the Force itself gave them subtle insights, allowing adaptation faster than they could have imagined. This world was alive, and it was speaking a language not entirely unlike that of their home universe. Yet every syllable carried the tension of war and the unmistakable scent of death. Light Yagami, justice without limits. On Coruscant, the Undercity had never witnessed anything like this. With the Death Note firmly in hand, Light Yagami began orchestrating a campaign that no Jedi, no Sith, no politician could anticipate. Crime lords, corrupt senators, rogue military officers, all were cataloged meticulously, analyzed, and eliminated with precise of laws with him, laws it had never seen before. A god among mortals, yet walking among those who still believed themselves untouchable. Gru and Megamind, rivalry ignites. Meanwhile, the galaxy's technological landscape began to warp under the influence of two chaotic geniuses. Gru had already secured a small separatist facility on Raxus Prime, turning it into a workshop of improbable weaponry and impossible minion-led engineering. Megamind, observing Republic fleet construction above Corellia, began sending his inventions to disrupt and sabotage infrastructure, creating a symphony of chaos that neither side could anticipate. Their rivalry manifested immediately. Gru's machines were designed to maximize chaos with almost comic absurdity, yet were efficient enough to threaten separatist supply lines. Megamind, always a step ahead, intercepted communications, reverse-engineered prototypes, and deployed countermeasures that made even the most seasoned Imperial engineers question reality. When they finally encountered each other, the result was explosive. Entire platforms shuddered under their combined technological genius as weapons, droids, and devices collided in spectacular fashion. Neither was willing to ally. Both were too proud, too clever, and too intent on proving superiority. The Clone Wars had never seen an escalation like this. Entire planetary systems teetered on the edge of disaster, not because of the traditional war, but because of these two outsiders treating the galaxy as their canvas. Kamen Rider Geats, neutral intervention. On a barren moon used for separatist experimentation, Kamen Rider Geats observed the unfolding conflicts. Unlike Aang, unlike the Traveler, Geats refused alignment. Unlike Light, Gru, or Megamind, his interventions were not about dominance or survival, they were tactical. Entire battles shifted subtly when he intervened, always ensuring that neither side gained complete advantage. Clone units reporting unusual resistance or intervention often collapsed under the thought of ghosts in the battlefield. Geats moved like an enigma, preventing massacres, redirecting droid patrols, and stabilizing civilians without drawing attention. The Jedi noticed anomalies in reports and briefly speculated about an unknown Force presence, but none could detect him directly. He was the wild card, the constant variable that ensured the galaxy would not easily predict its future. Nero Claudius, authority and loyalty. Across several Outer Rim systems, Nero Claudius began gathering populations under her personal standard, not by law or tradition, but by sheer charisma and force of personality. World after world saw governments falter when faced with her presence, as she offered stability, protection, and leadership in ways neither Republic nor separatist authorities could match. Loyalty became a currency she mined expertly without ever raising a lightsaber or blaster. The Sith could not manipulate her. The Jedi could not contain her. Her growing network of followers began to notice the newcomers, Aang calming entire fleets, Light eliminating threats in shadows, the Traveler deflecting attacks with ease, Gru and Megamind destabilizing infrastructure, and Kamen Rider Geats quietly intervening. All were variables in a galaxy that could no longer be measured with normal calculations. Columbo, quiet observation. Finally, Columbo wandered unnoticed through Coruscant's rain-slick streets. To him, the chaos was less about the power or the destruction, and more about the inconsistencies, the little things no one else noticed. Clone patrols reporting events that didn't match reality. Jedi visions with missing threads. Deaths with no clear perpetrators. Columbo whispered to himself as he observed, taking notes, piecing together patterns no one else could see. Just one more thing, he muttered, staring at the city lights reflecting off wet streets. Somewhere deep in this chaos, something was orchestrating far more than the war, and he intended to find out exactly what. The Clone emergency response across the galaxy, commanders, generals, and senators began noticing the impossible. Battles were no longer predictable. Supply lines broke for no discernible reason. Jedi could feel disturbances in the Force, anomalies they could not explain. Sith agents reported interference from entities that defied dark side comprehension. Republic officers whispered of new wild cards, and separatist leaders feared an invisible hand manipulating outcomes. Palpatine himself, seated in his private chamber, finally allowed a smile. 8 variables, 8 unpredictable forces, 8 new elements the galaxy had never accounted for. And now the game could truly begin. The Clone Wars had entered a new phase. The galaxy trembled as the collision of unmatched power, intellect, and will reached its apex. Clone Wars battles, already unpredictable, had become theaters of near-apocalyptic experimentation, improvisation, and unrestrained strategy. Entire systems now depended on the subtle or not-so-subtle interventions of 8 outsiders, each reshaping the war in ways neither Jedi, Sith, nor Republic strategists could anticipate. Guru versus Megamind, the war of genius. On Raxus Prime, Gru's makeshift fortress, an amalgamation of stolen droid parts, modified artillery, and an alarming number of minions, became a city-scale experiment in chaos weaponry. Explosions rattled through the planet's core, shaking separatist command centers. Yet before the debris settled, Megamind struck, sending a wave of EMPs and gravity displacement fields that turned Gru's machines into erratic hazards, some exploding in spectacular arcs of fire and metal. Minions scattered, scrambling to reset machinery. Gru, unruffled, drew his freeze ray and directed it toward the attacking drones. "Oh, it's on!" he shouted, laughter echoing across the facility. His grin widened as he realized that Megamind was the only opponent capable of pushing him beyond ingenuity into true creativity. The two geniuses escalated in real time. Drones became autonomous war machines, turrets repurposed to launch projectiles hundreds of kilometers away, and their respective laboratories turned into arenas of pure, unhinged experimentation. Clone commanders reported sudden, untraceable victories on both sides, separatist strongholds destroyed, Republic supply chains sabotaged, and yet no clear advantage emerged because each genius countered the other before the war could tip. Entire planetary systems were casualties not of soldiers, but of brains and creativity, unbound. Aang and the Jedi, collision of philosophy. Meanwhile, on Mustafar, Aang faced not combatants but a moral dilemma. The Jedi dispatched multiple battalions to secure the region, fearing that his presence, his bending of elements and innate avatar state, would destabilize local populations and tactical operations. Aang, however, could feel the suffering in every river of lava, every heat-shattered rock, and every life at risk from these conventional conflicts. His bending surged, but it was tempered by careful calculation. Redirect lava flows to avoid civilian casualties, create barriers against Republic blaster fire, and neutralize separatist droid offensives with minimal destruction. Anakin, conflicted, witnessed Aang's interventions and felt unease gnawing at his core. "He doesn't fight for sides," Anakin said, hands clenched on his lightsaber hilt. "He fights for balance, but balance is messy." Aang did not dispute him. The galaxy had become a chessboard of impossible scale. Every intervention created ripple effects. One redirected blaster bolt could destroy a droid battalion, a Republic supply ship, and even inadvertently assist Light Yagami's clandestine objectives below Coruscant. Every choice mattered more than anyone could calculate. The Traveler, elemental neutrality. On Ryloth, the Traveler's battle was different but no less complex. Waves of droid attacks converged on Twi'lek colonies, but each intervention created strange anomalies. skies. Gravity shifted momentarily, fire froze midair, and sandstorms seemed almost sentient. The traveler adapted fluidly, using elemental powers to reroute attacks, protect civilians, and subtly manipulate the battlefield without favoring one faction over another. Republic and Separatist commanders reported miracles and supernatural interference in equal measure. Yet no one could comprehend the source, and no strategy could anticipate it. Even the Jedi felt the Force quiver in frustration. It could detect the traveler but not predict them. Each tactical decision was now a collaboration with an entity that refused allegiance, creating chaotic equilibrium in places where war should have been decisive. Light Yagami, death in the shadows. On Coruscant, Light's campaign reached unprecedented scope. Senators and criminal overlords alike fell under the invisible influence of the Death Note, creating a void of power that shifted the galactic hierarchy in real time. The Force itself reacted, subtly rebelling against death not enacted through combat. Jedi meditations fractured, sensing anomalies but unable to locate their cause. Even Sith agents felt the edges of Light's interventions. "There is an intelligence here beyond the Force," whispered one. Palpatine noticed too, though he did not yet act, fascinated by a mortal who could bend morality and life itself with a simple pen. Light, walking the streets and shadows, calculated outcomes with inhuman precision, eliminating threats before they became threats to his overarching vision. He had no loyalty, no factional alignment, only a code that eclipsed the Force and rivaled the ambitions of the galaxy's most dangerous masterminds. Kamen Rider Geats, the unseen arbiter. On a barren moon orbiting a contested star system, Kamen Rider Geats intercepted a Separatist bombardment aimed at a Republic refugee convoy. Moving swiftly, he disarmed missiles, redirected droid patrols, and subtly altered the engagement to prevent civilian deaths. His interventions, though subtle, had systemic effects. Entire battles ended differently. Commanders reported impossible outcomes, and yet Geats remained nearly undetected. The Jedi noted anomalies in reports. Battles concluded without clear victors, or with results contradicting tactical expectations. Geats was part of the new equilibrium, a wild card maintaining a minimal level of order amidst the chaos of other arrivals. Nero Claudius, leadership and influence. Across outer systems, Nero's charisma reshaped allegiances. Planets once loyal to the Republic or coerced by separatists voluntarily aligned with her, offering resources, troops, and loyalty without coercion. Systems stabilized, populations rallied, and entire military theaters experienced unforeseen efficiency. Her mere presence created shifts. Republic generals hesitated, Separatist commanders second-guessed orders, and even the Jedi found themselves negotiating outcomes they had not orchestrated. By midsection, it was clear she was no pawn. She was a force capable of reshaping the galaxy's power dynamics entirely on her own terms. Columbo, quiet threads of truth. Amid the chaos, Columbo continued observing. He noticed subtle threads tying the arrivals together, unexplained deaths, tactical anomalies, bursts of elemental energy, and sudden shifts in political loyalty. While others acted with overt displays of power or strategy, Columbo cataloged causality. His observations, though unremarkable on the surface, began forming a pattern. All these newcomers were interlinked by an unseen force, each disrupting the Clone Wars in their own way. The city's pulse, the battle's rhythm, and the Force's quivering strands were his evidence. Just one more thing, he muttered, notebook in hand. Something is behind all this, something bigger than any one of them. The galaxy reacts, escalation beyond control. Reports poured in from every front, clone battalions encountering elemental manipulation they could not counter. separatist droid formations collapsing under technological sabotage by genius inventors, civilians mysteriously surviving sieges due to neutral interventions, high-ranking officials dying mysteriously without dark side involvement. Jedi and Sith alike recalculated their expectations. Palpatine's calculated manipulations now faced 8 independent variables beyond prediction. The war's original trajectory, one Palpatine had meticulously crafted, was already diverging dramatically. Entire campaigns now depended not on strategic brilliance alone, but on the whims, ethics, and choices of beings from entirely different realities. The galaxy had entered a new phase, one in which no victory, no defeat, and no allegiance could be taken for granted. The Clone Wars had reached a point where strategy manuals, battle simulations, and even Force foresight failed utterly. The arrival of 8 outsiders had shattered the expected course of history. Planets burned, alliances fractured, and yet, in the midst of chaos, new orders emerged. The galaxy would never again be predictable, nor its players limited to the traditional binaries of Republic, Separatist, Jedi, or Sith. Gru and Megamind, the legacy of genius, on Raxus Prime. The climactic confrontation between Gru and Megamind reached a level of absurd sophistication that no traditional army could counter. Entire cities of separatist droids were reprogrammed, redirected, or deactivated entirely through a combination of Gru's unorthodox inventions and Megamind's strategic countermeasures. Both geniuses had developed a grudging respect for one another, even as their rivalry continued to dictate the flow of the war. Their work left behind a technological residue that would be felt for decades. Republic engineers found blueprints and devices that defied understanding, capable of both creating and dismantling entire fleets. The Clone Wars outcomes were forever altered, not because of armies, but because 2 minds had treated the galaxy as a sandbox and left an indelible mark. Ships previously lost in battle reappeared as functioning war machines. Droid armies inexplicably changed allegiance, and key battles that had once been lost were now recorded as improbable victories. Their rivalry had rewritten the rules of warfare itself. Balance restored differently. Meanwhile, on Mustafar and surrounding war zones, Aang's efforts to mitigate mass destruction had produced a fragile but vital equilibrium. Lava flows were redirected, civilians rescued, and entire battlefields reshaped without tipping too far toward either side. The Jedi watched in awe and unease as the Avatar demonstrated a command of natural forces that was eerily compatible with the Force, yet fundamentally alien. Aang stood at the center of a battlefield scarred by both droids and human troops, meditating as he observed the interplay of the Force and elemental energy. He understood that balance was no longer a theoretical ideal, but a living, chaotic process. While he could not control Light Yagami's interventions or the technological upheaval unleashed by Gru and Megamind, he could shape the environment to preserve life and maintain a semblance of stability. In this universe, balance was not neutral. It was proactive, interventionist, and morally nuanced. Light Yagami, godhood in a galaxy of chaos. From the shadowed streets of Coruscant to the remote outposts of Ryloth, Light Yagami's campaign had reached its zenith. Senators, crime lords, and rogue officers, those who threatened systemic order or who acted against his sense of justice, had been eliminated or coerced into obedience. The galaxy's hierarchies shifted beneath his unseen hand. Deaths occurred without force, without combat, leaving Jedi, Sith, and generals alike struggling to account for the invisible calculus shaping the war. Yet Light's victory was imperfect. The Force itself resisted his absolute justice in subtle ways. Jedi meditations occasionally glimpsed distortions around him. Sith reports mentioned mentioned anomalies in energy that could not be predicted or replicated. He was a god, yes, but one operating in a galaxy that refused total compliance. Even in triumph, he was challenged by the universe's inherent unpredictability. The Traveler, freedom amidst order and chaos. The Traveler, still unattached to any faction, moved like a living lens through the war. On every contested world, the Traveler's interventions prevented disasters without overtly favoring one side. Civilians survived, key objectives remained intact, and yet both Republic and Separatist campaigns continued in partially disrupted form. The Traveler had become a guardian of potentialities, shaping events not to impose order, but to preserve possibility. Their presence also influenced Aang, Nero Claudius, and even Kamen Rider Geats. Forces that had previously clashed began subtly harmonizing, not because of allegiance, but because the elemental and interdimensional laws the newcomers represented resonated in unexpected ways with the galaxy's own physics. Even the Force itself seemed to hum in response, as if acknowledging entities it had never before encountered. Nero Claudius, the power of influence. Across outer systems, Nero Claudius had forged new loyalties that defied the traditional dichotomies of war. Entire planets and fleets that had once been separatist or republic now pledged themselves to her standard, not through coercion but through inspiration. Soldiers and civilians alike followed her leadership, not out of fear, but because of her ability to unify disparate groups. With clarity, charisma, and strategic vision, her influence extended beyond territory. Jedi found themselves negotiating outcomes they had never anticipated. Sith plots faltered against the subtle power of her persuasion. Even the Clone Wars' most complex operations were reshaped because she had introduced an element no strategist could quantify. Trust built on personal authority rather than ideology. Kamen Rider Geats, the arbiter of consequences. Kamen Rider Geats continued to intervene subtly, ensuring that while chaos reigned, the galaxy did not collapse entirely. Supply lines were redirected, civilians were evacuated, and battles concluded in ways that allowed both sides to continue functioning. Geats became a shadow presence, unseen but essential, providing balance in a war that had become too complex for traditional hierarchies to manage. Jedi and Sith alike recognized anomalies in reports, sudden reversals in battle outcomes, missing casualties, or strange survivals. They could not explain them. They could only record the results and adapt, unaware of the quiet figure who had prevented total disaster. Columbo, the quiet witness. In the midst of galactic upheaval, Columbo's observations had reached a critical mass. By meticulously connecting seemingly disparate events, the elemental anomalies, technological disruptions, and sudden deaths, he began to uncover the invisible web binding these outsiders together. He noted the subtle fingerprints of the Death Note, the echoes of elemental manipulation, the improvisations of genius inventors, and the subtle shifts wrought by neutral agents like Geats and the Traveler. Yet Columbo, patient and methodical, understood something the galaxy's most powerful forces had not. This was not merely a battle or a war. It was a collision of realities, and its consequences would resonate far beyond the Clone Wars. He quietly prepared, pen in hand, to follow the threads wherever they led, a lone observer in a galaxy reshaped beyond prediction. The galaxy rewritten by the end of this chapter of the Clone Wars, the galaxy bore the marks of 8 outsiders. The Jedi Council had been forced to reconsider their understanding of the Force and their role in guiding the galaxy. Sith strategies had been disrupted, undermined by factors they could neither foresee nor manipulate. Republic and Separatist campaigns were permanently altered, with entire sectors now functioning under new rules, loyalties, and chaos. Planet Planets that had once been battlefields became sanctuaries, laboratories, or autonomous power centers under the influence of outsiders. The Force itself had expanded, subtly modified by the presence of elemental, interdimensional, and morally complex entities. The war would continue, but the galaxy had been permanently changed. 8 newcomers had introduced variables no one could eliminate, manipulate, or fully control. Entire generations of soldiers, politicians, and Force users would live with the consequences of decisions they did not make and events they could not predict. The Clone Wars had become a stage for forces far greater than any one faction or ideology. Closing reflections as the suns set over Coruscant, Ryloth, Mustafar, and countless other worlds. Each of the outsiders paused to reflect. Ang meditated, feeling the delicate threads of balance stretch across the galaxy. The travelers surveyed the war zones, ever aware that their interventions had preserved possibilities rather than imposed outcomes. Light Yagami quietly plotted the next phase of his justice, unchallenged yet subtly constrained by the universe's resistance. Gru and Megamind tinkered, laughing, creating, and altering worlds simultaneously. Nero Claudius continued inspiring loyalty across sectors, and Kamen Rider Geats moved like a silent arbiter, unseen yet vital. Columbo, notebook full, prepared for the next move of this multi-dimensional chess game. The galaxy had survived, not unscathed, not predictable, but alive, vibrant, and transformed in ways no prophecy or strategy could have foreseen. And somewhere in the Force's deep currents, echoes of 8 remarkable newcomers continued to ripple, hinting at a future full of potential, danger, and the unknown. May the Force be with you. More stories await.